Hey guys, you're watching The Tattoo Chick. Um, so I've tried recording this video like 15 times. Not really, but go figure. Um, I wanted to talk about shadow work, which is kind of a difficult topic for many people, myself included, because a lot of people don't really know what the shadow is, and it's kind of hard to describe, but I'm going to do my best, so bear with me. Basically, for those of you who don't know what the shadow self is, it's all the things that maybe you don't make readily apparent to yourself and to others. For example, people who have, who've had an abusive childhood or a drug history or history of alcoholism or anything like that. Or it could be something small like you have selfish tendencies or you have anger management problems, or you suffer from depression. Those are all different aspects of shadow self. It's the things that, that you don't make readily apparent to other people, and you may not even acknowledge it within yourself. So it's very important as a witch to do shadow work. The reason being is that as a witch you need to be in balance. That's part of being it's part of being Wiccan, really, is trying to live in balance, both in light and in dark. And there are dark aspects of your personality. I don't care how happy, hunky-dory you think you are, you've got those dark aspects within yourself. It could be something as small as, well, I feel I'm a very immature person, or, well, it could be, as large as, I was a victim of child abuse. It depends. Everyone's shadow self is different. You know what you need to work on in your shadow self, and you need to work on it. If you don't actively work on your shadow self of your own volition, the universe is going to make you face it eventually. And trust me, it's a lot easier just to work on it as you go, and be upfront and honest with yourself about those things than to have the universe throw it in your face through your life experiences and make you face them. And it's going to happen over and over and over again if you just keep ignoring it and not getting it right. So it's very important that you do work on your shadow and you be honest with yourself, completely honest with yourself. Don't make it any bigger or any less than what it is. Be realistic. People who don't work on their shadow selves live in what I call a state of illusion. They don't live in reality, because they're not being realistic with themselves. And ultimately, you live with yourself. Your life is what you make of it. And if you bury those things, you're never being completely honest with yourself, and then therefore you're lying to everyone, including yourself. So you live in a state of illusion if you're not willing to work on your shadow. Is it hard? Yes. It's absolutely hard. It can get really strained, and it can get really difficult and cut really close to the bone. But it's extremely necessary to a healthy psyche and to a healthy witch to do that shadow work. And ultimately, it will lead to a building up of more personal power, and self-awareness, self-knowledge, and you can kind of roll with the punches of life easier, the more shadow work that you do. And you should do it continuously. You will have to do it continuously throughout your life. Your shadow's never going to go away, so don't try to defeat it. Don't try to get rid of it or annihilate it, because it's just not going to happen. It's not going away. Everyone has those little wounds and those little scars, and or those things that they just don't like about themselves, that they want to hide from, and you just can't. You have to be completely honest with yourself about your shadow, and see it for what it really is. That's the difference between people who walk a magical path and people who live an illusioned path. People who walk a magical path are constantly trying to live in balance, and see the world for what it actually is, and see the world for, just take it for what it is, rather than try to hide the things that are ugly about it, or hide from the things that we don't like, or rather than hiding from our fears because we're afraid to face them. we deal with them and we integrate them into ourselves as a whole, rather than trying to push it down into a box, because later that's going to turn into Pandora's box. Life is going to force you to face it eventually. It's a lot easier if you just do the work on your own. And there could be things in your life that you aren't even aware are a part of your shadow, which is entirely possible. I know that a lot of people tend to hide so much from the things they don't like about themselves that they aren't even aware that they are like that. Maybe somebody that is extremely childish or selfish, and you try to tell them that they may need help with that, and they're like, no, I don't. I'm like the least selfish person in the world, and blah, 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 blah. This is what I do, which just perpetuates the illusion that they are setting up for themselves. So, it's important to do shadow work. Like I said, it's never going to be over. It's easier the more you work with it, and the more integrated it becomes. The easier, like I said, the easier it is to kind of roll with life's punches and handle what life throws you, because you know yourself. You know those dark aspects of yourself. You know they're there, and you can utilize them in a positive manner rather than them being, the monster in the closet, or the skeleton in the closet, so to speak. A good way to start working on the shadow self is to start keeping a journal, and in that journal, it's just for you. It's not meant for anyone else, not meant for anyone else's eyes, and you need to be completely, brutally honest with yourself in this journal. Don't make something bigger than what it is. Don't make something any less than what it is. Just talk about it for what it is, and think about ways that you can come to terms with it. Think about ways that you can work on it to make yourself better. And that's basically, that's one way to start working on the shadow self. And really it's the first step to working on the shadow self. Keeping a shadow journal. A lot of people would say this is the purpose of the Book of Shadows. If you want to start doing your shadow work in your Book of Shadows, makes total sense to me. Do whatever you want to do. I personally have a separate notebook for my shadow self, for my shadow work. So that's just one suggestion. Some people go ahead and go to therapy. Some people go through these courses or whatever. Just do whatever you feel is necessary for you. If you have an anger management problem and you know that's part of your shadow and that's something that you need to work on, there's nothing wrong with taking a couple anger management classes. If you have a drug problem or you have, an alcohol problem, there's nothing wrong with going to a couple of meetings, which really you should go to a couple of meetings, if you have problems like that, because ultimately it's better for you. Don't make excuses for yourself. If, for example, if you have a drinking problem, don't come up with excuses as to why you should have that drink, because realistically you don't need that drink. Realistically, you'd be better off without it. Be real with yourself. The more real and the more honest with yourself that you are, both with your strong points and your weak points, your good and your bad, the more honest you are with yourself, the more you can use those maybe less than savory aspects of yourself in a positive way, and create positive change within your life. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Merry meet, merry part until we merry meet again. Blessed be.